The Revolution of Rest, How the Soft Girl Era is Redefining Black Success. Have you ever noticed how we glorify exhaustion, how we wear our burnout like badges of honor? I'm so busy has become our collective anthem, our twisted love letter to productivity. But what if we've been getting it all wrong? I recently had the extraordinary privilege of interviewing Landis Harwell for the Soft Girl Era podcast. Landis is not just a visionary, they are a revolutionary force reshaping the very landscape of success narratives for Black women professionals. Their work has sparked a movement that challenges centuries of conditioning, offering a radical alternative to the grind culture that has claimed too many of our spirits, our health, and our joy. Through their groundbreaking approach to intentional living, Landis has created a framework that has liberated thousands from the tyranny of exhaustion as achievement. What struck me most about our conversation wasn't just the profound wisdom Landis shared, but how their ideas have created ripples that are transforming entire communities. Their commitment to authentic living has become a beacon for those seeking to redefine success on their own terms, terms that include well being, joy, and yes, rest. The truth is, we're in the midst of a quiet revolution, a revolution not of noise and chaos, but of intentional rest and radical self definition. It's what we're calling the soft girl era, and it's changing everything. Let me be clear. This isn't about scented candles and bubble baths, though there's nothing wrong with either. This is about dismantling generations of conditioning that have taught Black women that our worth is measured by our output, our sacrifice, our ability to endure. The soft girl era is about permission, permission to start over, permission to move at your own pace, permission to define success in ways that actually feel good in your body. In 2025, this movement has gained unprecedented momentum, particularly among Black women who are tired, bone tired of success that costs them their peace, their joy, their very selves. During my conversation with Landis, three powerful themes emerged that I believe can transform not just how we work, but how we live. First, embracing the reset journey. The soft girl era movement fundamentally recognizes that starting over isn't failure, it's courage. It's giving yourself permission to begin again without judgment. Second, celebrating small steps forward. We've been conditioned to believe that progress must be dramatic to be meaningful. But what if the opposite is true? What if consistent, tiny actions create the most sustainable change? And third, defining your own path. Success isn't a one size fits all destination. The growing conversation around Black women embracing their authentic selves reminds us that comparison only distracts from your individual journey. Let me share some stories that bring these principles to life. I want to tell you about Sabrina growing up in a neighborhood where survival was the daily goal. Sabrina developed habits that kept her alive: hypervigilance, constant motion, never showing vulnerability. These weren't choices, they were necessities. The problem came when her circumstances changed, but those survival mechanisms remained locked in place. Even after moving to a safer environment and building a career, Sabrina couldn't turn off that survival mode. She was constantly hustling, constantly on guard, constantly exhausted. Sleep felt dangerous. Rest felt irresponsible. Vulnerability, unthinkable. For years, she operated this way, believing her inability to slow down was a strength. I'm just a hard worker, she'd say, wearing her exhaustion like armor. But beneath that armor, something was breaking. It wasn't until Sabrina found herself in the hospital her body finally forcing the rest her mind wouldn't allow, that she recognized these patterns were no longer protecting her. They were imprisoning her. The journey that followed wasn't easy. Setting boundaries felt selfish at first. Creating space for rest felt reckless. But slowly, intentionally, Sabrina began healing practices that transformed her relationship with herself. Today, Sabrina hosts the Hood Soft Life podcast, where she documents this journey and helps others navigate similar transitions. She's built a community of thousands who are learning that softness isn't weakness, it's power reclaimed. Her work is actively reshaping narratives around what strength looks like in Black communities. What's beautiful about Sabrina's story is how she's showing others that your past doesn't determine your future, that you can take baby steps toward a different life, that staying the course, even when it feels uncomfortable, leads to liberation. This revolution is happening in our creative spaces too. The current R&B renaissance, led by Black women artists like Ari Lennox, illustrates this perfectly. These musicians have faced immense industry pressure to conform to mainstream expectations rather than expressing their authentic voices. The music industry, like so many others, has rigid ideas about what Black women should sound like, look like, be like. Ari Lennox's journey is particularly telling. Early in her career, she faced pressure to adopt sounds and personas that didn't align with her authentic self. Industry executives wanted her to fit neatly into existing boxes, boxes that weren't built for her full expression. Rather than contorting herself to fit these expectations, Ari chose a different path. She leaned into vulnerability in her lyrics, embraced natural aesthetics in her image, and created music that reflected her whole self, not just the parts deemed marketable. This wasn't without cost. She faced setbacks, criticism, and the fear that authenticity might mean obscurity. But by embracing the soft girl era philosophy, she created space for new artistic expression that resonates deeply with audiences hungry for genuine connection. What's powerful here isn't just the music itself, but what it represents. These artists are showing us that staying the course and refusing to compare yourself to others can lead to success that actually feels like success, not just external validation, but internal alignment. And then there's the financial dimension of this revolution. A growing community of Black women are redefining wealth and success by addressing money trauma while embracing soft living. Many face challenges like generational scarcity mindsets and complicated financial boundaries within families that create obstacles to building wealth. Consider the movement of women who are developing strategies for budgeting like a baddie, approaches to financial wellness that honor both responsibility and pleasure. They're challenging the false dichotomy that suggests financial security requires suffering or that luxury experiences must lead to financial ruin. This approach began as a response to burnout culture and the recognition that financial wellness is a crucial component of overall well being. These women have developed practical tools for living soft on a budget and building generational wealth from scratch. What's revolutionary about this approach is how it's reshaping conversations around money in Black communities, particularly for women. It demonstrates that starting over with finances is possible at any point, and that taking small steps toward financial wellness creates sustainable change. What's remarkable about all of these stories is how they challenge our fundamental assumptions about progress. We've been taught that transformation requires dramatic action, that success demands sacrifice, that rest is a luxury we earn only after we've proven our worth. But what if we've had it backward all along? What if rest isn't the reward for productivity, but the foundation of it? What if softness isn't weakness, but a form of power we've been taught to devalue? What if the small, consistent steps are actually the ones that take us furthest? During my conversation with Landis, we explored how the soft girl era isn't about abandoning ambition, it's about redefining it. It's about recognizing that true success includes your well being, not just your output. It's about understanding that boundaries aren't selfish, they're necessary for sustainability. This shift requires courage. It demands that we question deeply ingrained beliefs about our worth and our work. It asks us to imagine success that doesn't come at the cost of our joy, our health, our very selves. And yes, it can feel terrifying to step away from the familiar. Even when the familiar is hurting us, there's comfort in the known, even when the known is exhaustion. But here's what I want you to consider. What if that tiny step, that one boundary, that extra hour of sleep, that moment of saying no to something that doesn't serve you? What if that's actually the most revolutionary act you could possibly commit? What if your rest is resistance? What if your softness is strength? What if your redefinition of success could not only save you, but inspire others to save themselves? I challenge you today to identify one area of your life where you've been hesitating to make a change. Maybe it's setting a boundary at work. Maybe it's creating a financial plan that prioritizes your well being. Maybe it's simply giving yourself permission to rest without guilt. Whatever it is, I want you to take one small, concrete step in that direction within the next week. Not next month, not someday, now. Because here's the truth that Landis helped me understand: the revolution we need, the one that will truly transform our communities, our culture, our very lives, isn't waiting for us somewhere in the future. It's not dependent on some grand gesture or perfect moment. The revolution is happening in the quiet moments when we choose ourselves, when we refuse to accept exhaustion as the price of success, when we embrace rest not as indulgence, but as resistance. In a world that profits from your exhaustion, choosing rest is radical. Choosing softness is revolutionary. Choosing to define success on your own terms is an act of liberation, not just for yourself, but for everyone watching you, learning from you, inspired by your courage to live differently. So I invite you, no, I implore you to join this quiet revolution, to turn down the noise, turn up your own inner wisdom, and teach the world that a soft Black woman is not a contradiction, but a force of nature, unstoppable precisely because she knows when to stop. The revolution of rest isn't waiting for permission, it's waiting for you to grant yourself permission. Your freedom doesn't start when you've checked all the boxes or reached all the milestones. Your freedom starts now with one small step, with one moment of rest, with one act of choosing yourself. The revolution is here and it begins with you.